Hi everyone, my name is Kim Griffin and I am a paediatric occupational therapist. I run a company called Griffin OT who provides online supports on sensory processing and fine motor skills and handwriting. I've been asked to answer the question, what is the role of OT in ensuring learners with intellectual disabilities succeed or make progress within the mainstream school setting? So I think there's a few considerations around this question. The first is that staff have adequate training to understand the needs of the learners, and there's a huge shift which I'm really quite excited to see towards very much a strengths-based approach rather than just looking at what the child can't do, but actually looking at what are their strengths and how can we build on those strengths. So I think that staff training and understanding in terms of looking at the child's strengths, building on them, and then understanding how they can differentiate the curriculum and the learning so that those children can succeed is the second key thing. And training supports that, but sort of the whole school systems need to support that as well. One challenge I often see is that once children start to fall behind, and that will happen for children with intellectual disabilities. That's not my preferred term, so I'm using it because it's the question term. But unfortunately, the national curriculum, particularly in the UK, is a very, very fast-paced expectation of children. And there's lots of children, even with more milder learning difficulties, that start to fall behind quite quickly. And my experience in the UK, unfortunately, there often isn't the slack within the system to allow those children to progress at their own pace. They need to sort of keep up at the pace that they're going at. So for me, the OT role is to help the staff to understand what that child's current level of ability and strengths are and how they can differentiate what they're providing in order to support the child to access their learning. Because my background is sort of working in sensory processing, often I'm doing a huge amount of training in helping to unpick what might be seen as, and again, I really dislike this term, but I know it's a very commonly used term in education, challenging behaviour, and looking at those behaviours that might be, the child might be using them because they don't understand, or the child might be using them because they just cannot access the learning, or they might want to join in but they don't have the social communication skills to sort of be able to join in. My job is sort of helping staff to reframe some of those behaviours and look at the underlying sensory needs. So potentially if it's sensory overload that's causing the behaviour, what can we do within the environment? What can we do within the task? What supports can we put in place to help the child to be able to access their learning and make the environment and the task more suitable and comfortable for them? And so that's a few things there. The staff training, supporting staff to understand the child's strengths and how they can support them to access the curriculum with their strengths, and helping the areas that they find more difficult, but really starting from that strengths-based approach and adapting and looking at the space to ensure that the sensory needs are being met. And also the other thing I would quite often do is help with those more functional skills like getting dressed, using the toilet, and just those general functional, we would call them activities of daily living, but supporting the child's ability to access those independently and teaching staff and parents what they can do to help the child be successful in completing those tasks. So I hope that's helpful, and thank you for listening.